The locksmith on Brennan Street charges $3.50 per copy now. She asks which ones. You hold the ring up and have to look. 8 keys. You know what 2 of them open. The others you know by shape and by which pocket they go in when you're in a hurry. She cuts them in order without asking questions. 4 minutes, $14. She hands them back in a small paper envelope. Outside, you stand next to your car in a lot that smells like rain that finished an hour ago, holding a ring that got heavy so slowly that you never once felt it happening. Nobody in your family has ever called you rich. Not once. Not even as a joke at a table where everyone was comfortable enough to make one. But somewhere in the last 28 years, without anyone deciding it should go this way, every question about money in that family started ending up at your phone. And not one of you noticed the direction reverse while it was happening. That's where this starts. A ring in a parking lot. And a number that nobody at any of those tables has ever seen written down. You are 23 years old. 2 keys on the ring. One opens the front door of an apartment you share with 2 people whose last names you know only from the mail slot downstairs. The other opens a P.O. box that cost $8 a month and feels, for reasons you couldn't explain, like an address that actually belongs to you. You make $38,500 a year. After federal, state, Social Security, and Medicare, $2,490 lands twice a month. Of that, $1,100 goes to rent. What stays is not nothing, but it is a number you handle carefully and don't discuss. There is a wealthy person in your family. His name is Darius. Everybody knows it. Darius owns 2 car washes and a parking structure near the airport. He drives a white Escalade. He pays cash and makes sure people nearby are aware of it. At every graduation, he deals $100 bills off the bottom of a stack folded once. When a cousin needs first and last on an apartment, Darius. When a nephew's car gets repossessed on a Sunday, Darius. When the family needs a venue that isn't someone's backyard, Darius makes a call. Nobody has seen a financial statement belonging to Darius. Nobody needs to. In a family, the wealthiest person isn't the one with the most money. It's the one who can say yes today without a pause that everyone at the table can hear. That is Darius, completely, visibly, for now. You open a Roth IRA that winter, not because you understand it fully, but because a woman in HR named Phyllis puts a 1-page document on your desk on a Thursday and says, "Read this tonight." You do. The 2026 contribution limit is $7,000. You put in $100 a month. You pick a total market index fund with an expense ratio of 0.03% because the name is shorter than the other options and you don't know what the longer names mean. That's the whole decision. 6 minutes on your phone in the apartment kitchen while your roommate argues with someone behind a closed door about something that won't matter in 3 weeks. Nobody watches you make it. Nothing changes about the next morning. Quick pause right here. Everything we are covering in this video, the real math, the decisions that actually matter, I put it all into one complete guide called the Silent Millionaire Blueprint. Over 120 pages, real numbers, real people. A full action plan you can start today. Right now, it is just $11.99. Launch price. Link is in the description. Okay, let's keep going. You are 25. Your balance is $9,200. You contributed $7,200. The market added the rest while you were doing other things, which is the part that still feels slightly wrong, even though it isn't. Your friend Derek texts on a Tuesday night. He needs $80 until the 1st. You send it. He sends it back 6 days later. Neither of you mentions it again. That's the first one. It doesn't feel like a category. It's $80. Derek makes more than you. He clears $62,000 before overtime. He also has a truck financed in 2024 for 84 months at 10.9% on $47,000. Monthly payment, $851. Total paid over the life of the loan, $71,484. The gap between that number and what he borrowed, $24,484 is the cost of wanting it in 2024 instead of waiting. Nobody at the dealership said that number in a sentence. It was on a page he initialed without reading, the way everyone does. He doesn't know the second number. You do, because you ran it on your phone one afternoon out of curiosity, and then sat with it longer than a curiosity calculation deserves. You don't tell him. He already has the truck. Your company adds a 401k with a 4% match. You contribute enough to capture the full match. Same fund, same 0.03%. Now 2 accounts are growing quietly in the background of a life that looks, from every visible angle, exactly the same as it did before. You are 28. Your combined balance is $41,300. Darius sells the car washes. The family talks about it for 3 weeks before the number arrives. Every guest starts with an 8 and has 5 figures after it minimum. Someone says he'll retire to Florida. Someone says a boat. The actual number is different. 2 car washes sold at roughly 2.5 times annual net. The parking structure had a note he refinanced in 2022. After the note, the broker's fee, capital gains tax, and equipment depreciation recapture, what lands in his account is $287,000. He also has a whole life policy he's been paying since 2001, $78 a month, 25 years. Total paid, $23,400. Cash value today, $26,100. A quarter century of payments to earn approximately 0.4% annually on money that was never actually invested in anything that grew. The man who sold it at his kitchen table called it protection and growth. It was protection. The growth required a definition of growth that most people would not recognize as one. Darius is 67. He has $287,000, a paid-off Escalade, and no car washes. Your balance that year is $41,300. You say nothing to no one. Darius paid for 3 family funerals. He put 2 cousins through trade school 1 semester at a time. He showed up for 25 years with cash in hand when showing up was the only thing needed. The arithmetic was wrong the whole time. The man was not. You are 31. Your brother Marcus calls on a Wednesday afternoon. Marcus texts, always. A Wednesday afternoon call from Marcus is not nothing. He asks casually what a rebuilt engine runs on a 2016 F-150. You give him a range. He says okay. Then he doesn't hang up. 5 seconds of nothing on the line. In those 5 seconds, both of you understand exactly what this call is. Neither of you says it first. You say you'll send something tonight. He says he'll pay it back. You say, sure. $3,200. Your balance that year is $89,400. The engine is 3.6% of a number Marcus has no idea exists. You send it from checking, not the accounts, because the accounts have a job and this isn't it. He pays back $900 over 4 months. Then his hours change and it stops. Neither of you mentions it again. Not at Christmas, not ever. That's the real cost, not the $2,300. It's that you can never bring it up for the rest of your life. Not once. Not on the nights where you want to. Because the moment you do, it stops being something you did for your brother and becomes something you're holding over him. You know the difference. So does he. The only way to keep it clean is to let it go entirely and never look back at it. His spare key goes on your ring in February, so you can check on his dog while he works a double. Third key, you clip it on and forget it's there within a week. You are 34. The market falls 31% in 11 weeks. Your balance drops from $187,000 to approximately $129,000 while you're eating lunch at a desk. You don't sell. It isn't bravery. Don't let anyone tell you it was bravery. You don't open the app. The automatic contributions go out on the first of the month the way they always do, buying more shares at prices that won't exist again. And you are not watching, because watching does not help. And you decided that in your first year and never renegotiated it. Derek sells at almost exactly the bottom and moves to cash. The market recovers 9 months later, roughly 38% higher. By then, he has a reason to wait a little longer. Then another reason. Then the market is at a new high, and getting in now feels like buying at the top, which it always does at a new high, which is most of the time. He never gets back in, not meaningfully. He is not foolish. He just did the thing every person does when fear arrives wearing the clothes of reason, which is confuse movement with safety at the exact moment they are opposites. You have $22,000 in a high-yield savings account at 4.6% that does nothing dramatic and never has. It is the worst performing thing you own. It is also the only reason you were able to leave the other accounts alone for 11 weeks without doing something permanent. You never call it discipline. You know what it actually was. You are 37. Your balance is $284,000. Derek wants to open a restaurant, a real one. He has a folder and he walks you through it at a diner on a Sunday morning for 45 minutes, and it is more serious than you expected and more flawed than it needs to be. Year 1 works. Year 2 strains. The rent escalator in year 3, 22% over base, makes year 3 unsurvivable on projected revenue. Derek knows food. He doesn't know that the number that ends most restaurants isn't food cost or the wrong chef. It's a clause on page 11 of a lease that felt like a formality when everyone was excited. He needs $35,000. You say no, badly, because there is no good way. You offer $7,000 as a gift. No equity, no repayment, just gone. He doesn't take it. He gets the money elsewhere at rates you'd rather not know. The restaurant opens. The food is good. It closes 14 months later. You were not in close contact for most of a year. That is what the no costs. You knew the price when you said it. You said it anyway. And you have never once been certain you were right. The math was right. That is a completely different thing. You know the difference. Nobody in this story is doing something wrong. That's the part that makes it hard to sit with on a quiet Sunday. You are 41. Your father cannot live alone anymore. Memory care in your area in 2026 runs $5,800 a month. Not luxury, standard, a courtyard, a nurse named Patricia who remembers his name every time and means it. His Social Security covers $2,100 of it. His savings cover a few months of the gap. The 5-year Medicaid look back means the conversation about protecting his house should have happened in 2021. It didn't, because nobody has that conversation when the person is still driving himself to the hardware store. Marcus makes $54,000. His wife makes $48,000. 2 kids, a car payment, a good life built on exact margins with nothing behind it for something like this. The family meeting takes 2 hours. Both of you knew how it would end before it was scheduled. You cover the gap, $3,700 a month from cash flow, not the accounts. The accounts have a job, and this still isn't it. Nobody thanks you in a way that's audible. Marcus is at the facility 5 days a week. He handles things you don't handle, has conversations with Patricia about good days and bad ones that you hear about secondhand. He is paying more than you are, just not in a currency anyone in your family knows how to count out loud. Dollars are legible. Everything else requires a conversation nobody has started. Your father's house key goes on your ring in the spring, then a 5th from your neighbor Gail, who is going through treatment and needs someone to bring in the mail and water the plants and simply be there in a way that doesn't require scheduling. 5 keys. Your balance that year is $389,200. You have never said that number to another person. You are 45. Darius calls about a Medicare letter. He is 84. He reads it to you twice over the phone. On the second reading, his voice does something at the words coverage gap that you have heard before from other people at other ages, and it always means the same thing. He has read this letter many times before calling you. Darius, who dealt bills at every table for 25 years, who said yes before anyone finished asking. Reading a government letter 9 times before asking for help. You explain it. 13 minutes. It isn't bad news, just a routine notice written in language designed by a committee that never once asked whether a person could actually understand it. When you finish, he's quiet. He says, "Okay. Okay, good. Then thank you," in a voice you have not heard him use in 30 years. That's the transfer. No ceremony, no announcement. The role moves the way water moves. finding the lowest available place without being directed, settling there without drama. Darius carried it for 25 years. Someone carried it before him. Now it's yours. It has been for a while. You just needed a Thursday morning phone call to understand it. Your balance that year is $612,400. The growth portion, $294,200, is money you never worked for. It is the accumulation of years where you simply didn't get in the way. Every month the transfer went out. Every crash you didn't react to. Every year you didn't move to cash because someone on television said the word recession with appropriate gravity. Somewhere in your 46th year, the annual growth from the account exceeds what you earn in 6 months of work. You don't notice the crossing. There is no notification for it. You are 50. The balance is $961,400. $412,000 is money you put in. From $100 a month at 23 to $1,800 a month now. 27 years of transfers on the first that stopped feeling like sacrifice around year 5 and stopped feeling like anything at all around year 9. The other $549,400 was never yours to earn. It was the years you didn't interfere. The crash you stayed in, the 0.03% instead of the 1.76% average American fund fee that the 2026 Investment Company Institute report documents. A difference that on a balance like yours represents over $180,000 saved across the investment lifetime. Derek has $198,000 with an advisor charging 0.95% on funds averaging 0.68%. On his balance, that's $3,278, leaving quietly every year in quarterly increments he never watches leave. Your cost on twice as much is $288. Nobody knows the number. Not Marcus, not Darius, who is 87 and calls twice a week, not the woman at the credit union whose screen shows something that routes you to a different phone queue than the person behind you in line, which is the only place in your daily life where the number has ever made itself visible. You drive a 7-year-old car, same haircut since your 30s, same dish to every Thanksgiving. Twice a year, someone at that table says, "You've always been careful." They mean it as a description of someone who checks the locks, reliable but unremarkable. They say it warmly. Being the wealthiest person in a room that doesn't know it is not a feeling with fanfare. It is a role with a job description nobody writes down. You are the one who gets the Thursday morning calls, the one who covers the gap without sound, the one who says no to a folder and carries it for a year, the one who explains the Medicare letter, the one who waters the plants during chemo. You never got to be the one who asked. That ended at 25, with $80 for gas, and you didn't know at the time it was the last one. The 8 keys are on the kitchen counter now, next to the paper envelope from Brennan Street. 2 of them are yours. One is Marcus's spare with the blue rubber cap he put on so you wouldn't mix it up, which you did immediately and then learned by shape. One is your father's house, empty now except on weekends, when you go by to run the water and open the windows. One is Darius's apartment. He is 87, lives alone, and there are more days now where someone should be able to get in. One is Gail's. She finished treatment and is doing well. She hasn't asked for the key back. You haven't offered. Neither of you has decided what that means yet. The 8th one you are honestly not certain about. You think it might be the storage unit or Marcus's back gate. You'll figure it out. Somewhere tonight, there is a 23-year-old in an apartment with 2 people whose last names they know from the mail. There is a form from HR they've been meaning to return. There is a total market index fund with a boring name and an expense ratio of 0.03%, waiting for the 6 minutes it would take to open an account on a phone in a shared kitchen. There is a Darius in that family, dealing bills at every table, saying yes before anyone finishes asking. And everyone at that table is absolutely certain they know who the wealthy one is. They're right, for now. Nobody will be able to name the year it changes. There won't be a year. There will be a Thursday morning phone call. There will be a letter read 9 times before asking for help. There will be a key cut at a locksmith for a few dollars, added to a ring that's been getting heavier for decades without anyone deciding it should. And there will be someone standing in a parking lot that smells like rain, holding it, understanding for the first time that wealth was never the number. It was always the keys.